Yields back. Chair now recognizes Mr. Goldman from New York.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This hearing is entitled "The Basis for an Impeachment Inquiry." You would think that after 8 months of an investigation, we would not need to have a hearing with no witness who has any direct knowledge of the evidence to determine that there is a basis for this impeachment inquiry. And this is an impeachment inquiry. Mr. Turley and Mr. Gerhardt testified in 2019 in the official impeachment process in the Judiciary Committee. The inquiry was in the Intelligence Committee. And in the Intelligence Committee, there were 17 firsthand witnesses with direct knowledge of the allegations. And the public hearings had 12 witnesses, all with firsthand. Here we are in our first hearing. No one has any actual knowledge or evidence. There's nothing new here. So why don't we have some of the fact witnesses here? You've brought them in. They've come in already. What about Devon Archer? Now, Mr. Donalds and the chairman now want to disavow Mr. Archer's testimony that Mr. Biggs entirely relies upon, but they don't want him to come sit here. Why? Well, maybe because he testified that Joe Biden never discussed business with Hunter or other business associates, he got nothing from their businesses, and he never took any official acts related to the businesses. Or maybe the American people might hear that this $3.5 million from Batterina actually had nothing to do with Hunter Biden, which is what Devon Archer testified. Or what about Eric Schwerin, Hunter Biden's partner and accountant? He also performed a number of administrative and bookkeeping tasks for then Vice President Biden and Hunter Biden. He saw President Biden's bank accounts, and he told the committee that he was not aware of any involvement by President Biden in the financial conduct of his relatives' businesses, much less any transactions into or out of then Vice President's bank account related to business conducted by any family member. And the list goes on. We've already talked about Lev Parnas and Rudy Giuliani. The reason is you bring in the fact witnesses and your case goes down the drain. So let's talk about what your allegations are. $15 million to 9 Biden family members from 2014 to 2019. Mr. Dubinsky, was Joe Biden president of the United States from 2014 to 2019?
No, he was not.
And in fact, from 2017 to 2021, he was a private citizen, right?
That's my understanding, correct.
Mr. Gerhardt, am I correct that the framers made very clear that conduct as private citizens are best left for the legal system, not the impeachment process? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, even yesterday, in releasing 700 pages of documents, Chairman Smith admitted that he's not an expert in the timeline, which seems to encapsulate this investigation to a T. Because here we are seeing texts and emails from 2017. We're seeing Department of Justice emails from 2020 when it was the Donald Trump Justice Department. And all we hear all day long, Biden family, Biden family, Biden family. And every time you hear that, you know that it doesn't include Joe Biden. If there were 9 Biden family members who got money from these business transactions, isn't it striking that Joe Biden was not one of them? Pretty remarkable. And what we hear is this is an exceedingly complex chain of transactions. That's what the House Republicans said. Pattern of incredible financial complexity. Ms. McClain showed a chart. It had an investor. It had an investment company that invested money, that received money, and then it went to the investors. Mr. Dubinsky, that's not very complicated, is it?
Well, that's not really the question. The question is, what was going on there? Was there an investment?
I'm just asking about the structure.
Well, that's
because
structure.
What we have here, and we hear so much about services and all of this, services are legitimate or product. It's an investment company. It's a private equity company that invests capital in other corporations and companies. That is standard practice.
Well, that's an assumption.
Mr. Turley, you said in 2019 that impeachment requires a clear criminal act. Is that right?
No, in fact, in the Trump impeachment, I said repeatedly, you can impeach someone for non-criminal conduct. What I said then, I'm saying now, which is I strongly encourage you to look at criminal
Yeah,
acts.
all right, well, that testimony is there.
But
But
can I-
let's
can I
just, no, you can't, because I have 10 seconds left. You have said that lying as a president is not impeachable. You have said that there's an influence peddling campaign, but you will acknowledge, will you not, that in order to have a criminal act of public corruption or bribery, there must be, under McDonnell, an official act in connection to some sort of personal benefit. Isn't that right?
Gentleman's time's expired, but Mr. Turley, please answer the question.
Yeah, I can just point you to my testimony. I talk about quid
Just
pro
answer the
quo.
question.
Because it's a little more complex.
No, it's not. An official act for a personal benefit.
Gentleman's time's expired.